Bulavinaka, Fiji, and welcome to another segment of Speak Your Mind. I'm your host, Serafina Wedlock. Now, we're midway through March already, and something that's coming up around the corner, on the 29th of March to be exact, is the Global Earth Hour event. Now, something that has been, that Fiji has been a part of since 2007. And as a build-up to that, we actually have our representatives from the Worldwide Fund for Nature. That's right, we've got in studio with us Miss Patricia Mullam, who's the Communications Manager, and also Mr. Alfred Ralifa, who's the Policy Officer with Worldwide Fund for Nature. Hey, Bulavinaka, guys, and thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Bulafina.
Bulavinaka.
Bulavinaka. And, I was just telling Patricia, actually, I remember her from primary school. We actually took part together in the Miss Hibiscus, was it Princess back in that year?
Yes, it was.
And you actually won that year. Now it's a surprise. We're actually both in a position to be part of communications people there. You wonder why. But yes, welcome once again to the show. And first of all, since Fiji's inclusion in the Earth Hour event, how has it been over the years from 2007, I believe, until now? Tell us a little bit more about how Fiji has grown, or how this event has grown.
Well, Fiji has responded to a global call to action really amazingly, I must say. And it's really nice, it's really heartwarming to see that the people of Fiji actually look forward to and participate in it every year so religiously. And although a small island nation which does not emit as much carbon as some of the more industrialized nations, it's indicative of how the Pacific is rising to the challenges of climate change. So over the past few years, Fiji has responded very well and participated every year without a miss.
All right. For the like I said, for the event itself, in Fiji as opposed to other nations, has there been a lot of people participating in this as opposed to when it first started?
Well, initially when it first started, as with anything new, there needs to be something really big to get the crowd involved, and that's what had happened when it was first introduced to Fiji. However, over the past few years, more recently, we've seen more groups of people and more individuals take it upon themselves to observe Earth Hour in their own localities, in their own ways, which is really inspirational. They're not waiting on us to take the lead on it. They're doing their own thing. And then they're going beyond the hour to commit to doing things like, I'm not going to use plastic bags for a whole month. I know certain individuals who go vegan the whole of March just to, make a statement that they want to reduce their impact on the planet. So Fiji has come a very long way since its inception in 2007.
Why this date? Why the 29th of March? I believe this is the date that they use every year.
Yes.
Is there a particular reason for this?
There was no significant reason that they chose this date, and this was conceived by WWF Australia.
Right. Also, we kind of just followed in line with them. Okay. Now, Alfred, what does your job entail in the whole process?
I work a lot closely with the communities that we work with, especially those communities in Madawata, and also you have some of the communities in Ba, in the Sawayeke, in Ngau, and so with these communities we do a lot of activities in terms of building up their natural resource management plans and community MPAs, and also looking at those communities that we work with which are more vulnerable to climate change and building the adaptations and the resiliency. But at the same time, we also work with the private sector in terms of mitigation. And in terms of Earth Hour, it's the most important thing that we do with the communities is in terms of awareness.
Right.
And since its inception in 2007, the communities have taken on the campaign to be part of their annual program. So every year they look forward to us informing them of when Earth Hour is going to be held. And they organize their own community Earth Hour celebrations. And as a matter of fact, with a lot of the communities that we work with, they don't have access to electricity like certain communities in semi-rural areas. So to them, it's like Earth Hour is every day. And so with this Earth Hour program, it's kind of like a symbol and a reminder to the communities that they are not the only ones that are actually affected by climate change and its impacts, but they have other similar communities around the world, and that they also have communities in urban areas who actually consider their plight and and doing activities and such as that hour, which is helping to create awareness and also to
Yes.
trying to get the funding to help build community resilience and adaptation.
Right. So your job involves a lot of traveling, though, and a
Yes.
lot of interaction with the communities.
Yes.
How is the mindset of the rural community been since the inception of Earth Hour?
The rural communities are actually quite aware of the impacts of climate change. They actually they experience it almost every day,
Right.
and so they're the most vulnerable and most susceptible to droughts, to cyclones, to rising tides and strong winds. So when it comes to Earth Hour, they know exactly what other communities from outside of Fiji and also within Fiji what they're actually doing. And you have those certain individuals within the community who are actually like champions and more involved.
Right.
So they're the ones that actually they. When Earth Hour was getting closer, they started organizing their youth groups and to come up with certain activities such as mangrove replanting of
Oh,
the
okay.
degraded areas, cleanup campaigns, and so these are the kind of community. These are some of the activities that they actually carry out during
That's
Earth Hour.
right.
And then when you come to nighttime, those who have access to electricity, they get together in the community hall and watch Hong Kong Sevens and switch off the lights.
I
and
know,
have a
because it
bowl
always
of kava
it always happens to fall
Always,
on.
yeah.
yeah.
Someone actually asked me this morning, Nimi from Batinitano said, why is it always on the night of the Hong Kong Sevens? And then I said, maybe this is, they're trying to find out, how concerned are you with the environment to see if you'll actually switch off your television set. But yes, so these are some of the activities that the community comes up with. Now, for you, with your job, do you guys organize also workshops to educate the other communities on Earth Hour?
Yes, we do. Every time we go to the community, there's always a planned workshop and awareness program also going together with any activity that we carry out in the community. So it's kind of like if I'm going today to the community to talk about to build community capacity on sustainable land management,
Yes.
there's always going to be a part of the program on awareness. And so if I'm talking to them about sustainable land management, and I will be linking it back to environmental impacts, and one
Yeah.
of them would be climate change impacts and how this sustainable land management is actually going to build community adaptation and, for them to be able to carry out sustainable land management practices.
Right.
But at the same time, to actually know that these kind of activities actually helps build their resilience.
That's
and,
right.
in terms of creating more enhancing food security, water security, and so they are quite aware of this.
Nice.
So-
Okay, well, we'll come back to you, Alfred. Don't go running away now. But yes, we're heading into another break, or we'll be back with more on Speak Your Mind. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind. And for those of you who've just joined us, we're talking to the Worldwide Fund for Nature. That's right, as this is the build-up towards Earth Hour, which falls on the 29th of March. And in studio, we have with us Patricia Malam. She's the Communications Manager, and also Mr. Alfred Relifo, who's the Policy Officer at WWF. Now, Alfred, a little bit more on the workshops and also the activities that the community or the local community carries out in the particular areas. Now, from your travels, have you seen that their mentality has changed a lot from from Fiji's first inception in the global event, from then till now?
Yes, the communities. In terms of the activities that we've been carrying out with them, most of the activities ties very, very closely with their daily livelihoods.
Right.
And this is something that the resources that they have, or that within their own boundaries, are actually something that they depend on for survival. So when we talk about these kind of issues with them, they know that these are the kind of issues that we're going to help them improve food security, also to also enhance alternative livelihoods and also alternative income generation activities. So they acquire. So this is something that is very tied closely with them. So it is something that that they would also like to be part of, and that they take ownership.
What are some of the challenges that you've had to face when traveling to these communities and trying to reach out to them or empower them on the Earth Hour conservation?
So behaviors of people do not actually change overnight. It takes
Right.
time to build and to let them recognize the fact that they need to conserve their natural resources. But at the same time, you have to look on the other issue of poverty and the need for money. And with increasing population, also leads to increasing the need for more income for the family. And and then on the other side of the you have development taking place, and
Right.
which is actually offsets what we are trying to do in conservation. So these are some of the issues that we need to take into consideration. So we need to be able to look at whether our conservation is going to benefit the poor, or is it going to be trapping the poor in a poverty state, and also benefiting only certain individuals in the community, and also outsiders. So these are some of the things that we need to look at. And so when we work with the communities, we need to ensure that everybody benefits and not just certain people. So
That's so true. Okay. Now, for this year, I believe WWF is trying to, make the public go beyond the hour. Now, as opposed to the previous years, what has WWF been, have actually tried to encourage to the public as going beyond the hour? What are some of the activities that you've had over the past few years?
Okay, well, over the past few years, what it was just, first of all, getting people to acknowledge that, we have a problem. And just one of the many solutions would be to reduce our consumption of energy, or to use more sustainable forms of energy. So, using energy-saving lights as opposed to the ones that consume more energy,
Right.
and then reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and opting for other modes of transportation. So over the few years, we've seen people go beyond the hour, meaning not just observing this just 1 hour on the night of Earth Hour, but actually trying to do it at least once or twice a week every year. And that has seen, some immense improvements, and you will see a lot of people these days have become more environmentally friendly. You see people taking their own bags when they're going shopping,
True,
or opting
true.
for recycle bags. People going vegan, more than once or twice a week, and getting using their bicycles as opposed to getting to driving to work or getting public transport. So these are just minor changes we've seen in the lifestyle habits of people over the past few years. But what we're pushing for even more strongly than before now, with Earth Hour Blue, that's the theme for Earth Hour this year,
Right.
which is the first crowdfunding project for the planet. So not just Fiji, worldwide, every single country that's participating in Earth Hour is going to be working on a crowdfunding project. So what that is choosing a conservation project that has been developed and thought about with the help of the conservation team. So Alfred's going to give us a little bit more information on that. And then what we're trying to do is choose a conservation project and then get members of the public to raise funds to support the project. And we're given 60 days to raise a certain amount of money. And then once we receive the funds, then we immediately channel that back into the conservation project, which will see successes. So,
that's good.
Worldwide, there are lots of projects that have started already. Fiji's will launch on Wednesday,
Right,
this
this
coming
Wednesday.
Yes. And there are some examples of that. Some countries in Africa, what they're doing is they're raising funds to purchase special breeds of dogs that will help the poachers, help the rangers find poachers,
Okay.
stop people poaching on
yeah.
elephants for their ivory or rhinos for their horns.
The horns.
So in Fiji, our environmental project will be focused in the Mali district. So
Yeah.
Alfred, do you want to tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
about that?
Okay.
Yeah, so Mali is an island off the coast of Lambasa. It's about 20 minutes boat ride from Lambasa to Mali Island, and they're about it's a district of Madawata, and there's about 4 villages on the island. You have 3 villages on the island itself, and the
Right.
4th village is on mainland. This island is actually quite small, and they do not have access to proper electricity. So the electricity used on the island is dependent on generators, which requires
Fuel.
very high cost of fuel, and so part of this initiative is to raise the money to try and provide each of the community halls with solar panels to power the electricity for the hall. And we hope that this will encourage the community to be able to raise the extra money to supply solar panels for all households on the island.
Right.
And
Alfred, just excuse me. I'm going to ask you, how do you guys gauge what particular area you need to fundraise for? How did that come about? Like, why Mali? You know, how did you go about choosing this particular place in particular?
well, for this, for overall for all of our community work, in order for us to work in a community, they actually have to first approach us,
Right.
And then we will decide on where we can get the funding from to be
Right.
able to provide to fund the project. Then we will do consultation as to what is what are the issues that they are facing,
Right.
and what are the kind of projects that would best suit them. And that is the community consultation. And so for with this Earth Hour project, number one is the locality of the community. Number two is in terms of their adaptation. How heavily impacted they are in terms of the impacts of climate change, and also the cost of the project. So we assessed all the communities that we work with, and we find that the best island community to work with is Mali Island, because they're quite near Lampasa,
Yeah.
and so transportation costs would not be that high. So. And that there's only 4 villages, so it's going to be easy to work with them rather than a very
Okay.
big, larger district.
True.
And then the community is one of the things, the urgent needs of the community is actually a source of power of electricity for the island. And so going green with solar panels is the best option.
Okay, well, we'll come back to this with Alfred. But in the meantime, if you have questions for our guests, feel free to call us up, 32209060907, or text us on 825. But remember to put the letter G before it. We're heading into another break, but we'll be back with more. Welcome back to our third segment of Speak Your Mind. Now, once again, Earth Hour on the 29th of March, and here to tell us a little bit more about this from the conservation side and also from the event itself and towards building the publicity as far as conserving energy is concerned from WWF. Now, Patricia, okay, just earlier on you were saying how with the switching off for Earth Hour, okay, everyone's to switch off all electrical appliances. Has there been a drastic change in the usage of electricity for this one night only? I believe you have statistics for us.
Well, I have figures from 2010. So in 2010, we had at least 15 five-star hotels participate in observing Earth Hour, and that 1 hour alone saw a reduction of 14.1%, which is equivalent to about 7.34 tons of carbon dioxide.
Wow.
So they were able to, measure the impact of switching off for 1 hour. And, if possible, we would like to encourage, other businesses to try and see whether that 1 hour really does make a difference for them as well.
Have you managed to speak to other committed parties that have taken the initiative for Earth Hour? Have you had feedback from them to say if it has made an impact on their business?
Yes, especially the tourism industry,
Right.
because for them, mainly because a lot of the tourists that come to our shores are from other countries where Earth Hour is a whole lot bigger.
Yeah.
So for them, observing Earth Hour is not just for the guests, but it also helps them see the reduction in their bills as well. So quite a few of the large hotels like the Sofitel, who participated last year, the Hilton, all of them, they see benefit in being a part of this, not just for marketing, but also for economic benefits.
Exactly. Now, earlier on, we had a conversation, and I was asking you, how do you gauge, whoever has been participating? Do you guys go out and do a survey? But you said that you actually do a call-up before and also after the event?
Yes, as much as possible. We try to keep all of Earth Hour activities as low impact as possible, meaning,
Right.
we don't want people to go out and use more resources just to make a statement. As much as possible, we want to keep it online, paperless, and to spread the word through digital platforms like social media or videos. So we're encouraging people to go and register on earthhour.org, just to register to say, yes, I'm participating this year. And then whatever you do in your own locality, whether it's in an urban area or a rural area, just let us know how you celebrated, even if it's a picture or a letter where you write in and tell us what you did on the night.
Right.
And if you have a commitment to make going beyond the hour, we'd be more than happy to share that with the rest of the world, because the rest of the world looks to countries like Fiji and New Zealand because we're the first to switch off. So, our stories are the first to go out. And we've had coverage on CNN and all of the other global websites. And it's really inspiring to see Pacific Island nations take the lead. So as much as possible, if you're observing Earth Hour this year, get in touch with us. We've got a Facebook page, we've got Twitter. So send us your photos and we'd be happy to share it with the rest of the world.
Okay, that's nice. Now, I also asked you, with FEA, do you guys have privy to the before Earth Hour electrical usage as opposed to after?
Well, we'd like to, but
I think this would
I'm
be
assuming
a good way to try.
it would be very, but I'm assuming because of the confidentiality of that sort of data, it
Or
might
maybe
not
just a
be
percentage.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we'd like to, be
Somebody might
able
wanna
to
get in touch with
substantiate why everybody needs to participate.
Exactly. I mean, after all, they're always going on about, using less electricity, switching off. So this would probably be a good way if you work hand in hand. Just a thought. Anyways, back to the conservation bit. Now, the part where you said you chose Mali, I think one of the other aspect of this that was told to me was because of the Great Sea Reef, which is also the largest reef system in Fiji, and that lies right along where the Mali Island is situated. So this was also one of the reasons Mali was chosen, because of how that impact goes back to affecting the sea.
Yes.
Well, you see, WWF works in many different ways.
Right.
So we work to protect biodiversity, and we also work to address things like getting people to change their behavior, addressing the drivers. So the Great Sea Reef is a priority place for the WWF network because it's the third largest reef system in the southern hemisphere. And we have a lot of coastal villages along that area. And Mali is one of the very active project sites where our team have been working in trying to transform their livelihoods and increase their, sustainable use
of energy.
their resources. Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the plans that you have put for the Mali Island? You're raising money, and what are you planning to do for the island, for Mali?
So Mali, the District of Mali has their own District Development Committee.
Okay.
And under the District Development Committee has drafted a 20-year development plan. So this 20-year development plan looks at things like infrastructure, energy, education, religion, and also their natural resources, the Ngolingoli, the land, the use of the land. So in terms of energy, this is one of their top priorities, and the need for the community to have a sustainable and also a continuous supply of energy.
Right.
So that is why they're looking at raising money to be able to provide solar panels for all the households in Mali. So we are just taking this our Blue program, the crowdfunding actually ties in well with the plans for the community. So it's just trying to find the money for the community halls, to get the solar panels for the community halls. But at the same time, this would be a driving force to initiate or to catalyze the community to actually to do something on their own part, to be able to start raising money for the community, for the households, solar panels.
Nice. So what is what's the crowdfunding bit? What do you guys have plans?
Our target is, based on the calculations that we've done, our target is to raise $10,000 in 60 days. And
$10,000 in 60 days.
Yes.
Okay.
So because crowdfunding is pretty much a very online driven thing, where you go to the project page and you commit however much you can, whether it's 10 cents or $5, whatever it is. But see, because Fiji is not so far advanced in terms of online payments, not everybody who wants to help has access to a credit or debit card to be able to make the payment. So we're encouraging people, whoever wants to support this project, to make a contribution to our bank account, however small it may be. It doesn't matter, as long as it's something that you feel you'd like to help with. And then we're also organizing an Earth Hour candlelight dinner. So this will be held in Suva And for those of you who can't participate in this, we encourage you to perhaps have your own dinners, host your own dinners, and get everybody to, bring a pot of whatever and contribute $1. And if you can raise $10, that's going to be a huge help towards our $10,000 target. And then you just need to deposit it into our account and mention that it's for Earth Hour Blue.
All right. Well, we'll come back to you again, Patricia, and also more on this Earth Hour Blue campaign, an initiative that is done with Earth Hour. And that's all to come. But if you just joined us once again, if you have questions for our in-studio guests, feel free to call us up 3220-906 or 907, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to answer your queries for you. In the meantime, another break coming up, but we'll have more for you on Speak Your Mind. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind, where we're talking to our guest today, Miss Patricia Mallam, who's the communications manager for WWF, and also Alfred Relifo, who is their policy officer with WWF. Now, more on Earth Hour. Once again, this is on the 29th of March, and this year they're trying to go beyond the hour by having the Earth Hour Blue campaign. This is the first crowdfunding. Now, Patricia mentioned that they're trying to raise money to help the people of Mali Island, I believe, and this is to help them with their solar panels and also water tanks in the villages. This is to, of course, avoid the more further destruction of the Great Sea Reef in the area. Now, for the crowdfunding that you have put in place, the candlelight dinner. Now, $10,000, but this is not only for the dinner. You're not trying to raise this during the dinner, but also as contributions and donations?
Yes, absolutely. Because not everybody in Fiji will be able to attend or participate in the dinner, we're opening it up to everyone everywhere pretty much. If you've got a youth group or a community group, if you've got a group of people you work with and you want to do something as part of your, CSR, like Sports and Social Club, you can get together and raise a certain amount of money and then just get in touch with us and send it through.
All right. Now, Patricia, like with the, not everyone's an environmentalist, and it's always hard trying to change people's mentality. Now, from your experience, ever since you joined WWF, how has the response from the people been when it comes to trying to save the environment, honestly speaking?
Well, honestly speaking, you get a lot more buy-in from the younger generation, the youth, and members of the community as well, because they've been doing it for many years, but I guess on different levels. It's, personally, not the views of WWF. Personally, I feel that it's the biggest challenges for people in the more urban areas who have more materialistic needs to satisfy that seem to be on a constant road to, trying to outdo each other in terms of, I've got to get this car because my neighbor got this car, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
But it's the people who are at the, facing the brunt of issues like climate change and people whose resources are being taken from them are the ones who are the most willing to get up and do something about it. So I'm hoping that will change in time to come. But, already there's been we can see the influx in the number of people that are, supportive of conservation projects and events. So you just have to look at the registration or the enrollments at the major universities to see the number of students that are already taking an active interest in things like conservation or marine affairs, because they really do care about their resources and they want to do something about it.
Exactly. Don't you just hate it when when you have a cyclone or even a flood, and then we have the issue of rubbish dumping, and then everyone becomes environmentalist, and then they start questioning, what are we doing? You should be using the bin. It's little things like this. These are the impacts of climate change. This is what, we're trying to avoid having to come to this day, because everything has a rippling effect. What do you think? This will be your area of expertise, Alfred.
Yes, that's totally true. And I think people are asking questions about who's going to solve these problems, who's going to clean our foreshores, But the question is, it's up to you.
Exactly.
If you don't, if you try and reduce the amount of rubbish that you produce at home, and then that will have that will contribute, a small drop in a very large ocean. That is a very big contribution. So I think instead of people asking who's going to do this, how are we going to solve the issue of flooding, let's take a look at ourselves and start, looking at ourselves and what we do at home and what are the issues that we need to improve on in terms of our waste management, in terms of our use of energy, in terms of the choices we make when we go out shopping, whether you should go to the coffee shop and get a cup of coffee because it takes so much water and energy just to produce your cup of latte, and these are the things that you need to look at.
Exactly.
And how we can look at the ways our forefathers live. Drinking lemon leaf tea and
It's the best.
yes,
It's healthier too.
so much healthier, and avoiding sugar and all of this. It actually adds contributes to how we're going to improve our natural environment. Not only improve but actually conserve.
That's right.
The use of our resources.
With your travels, Alfred, having to deal with a lot of communities, do you reckon, in your personal opinion, that the rural communities are more proactive in trying to conserve the environment as opposed to those living in the urban areas?
Yes, the rural communities are actually proactive. As I've mentioned before, when something that is very, very close to you is being taken away and it threatens your very existence, your livelihood, so you try to work your best to ensure that you continue to maintain it. So all these issues challenges rural communities to actually make a stand to try and protect their own resources, but at the same time we have to look at the issue of development and how we can ensure that there's equal sharing of the benefits in terms of the profits that you get from conservation, so that communities that are at a very disadvantaged will actually if you really, really want to feed your family and you have no other choice but to go to a marine protected area to get the fish that you need, these are the kind of things that we need to look at. So those are the kind of, we were hoping that this will actually help into the creating the awareness. And we really, really acknowledge and appreciate the fact that the rural communities are actually making a stand to do this. And I think that our urban communities, the urban communities from Mali who are living here in Suva and other parts of the country, and also from around the world, should take a look at this and see how they can contribute back towards these communities in terms of offsetting their carbon footprints. And
do you think more could be done in conserving our environment in both communities? Do you think there's more that still could be done? Both of you on Yuta's personal opinions?
Well, I think there is always more that you can do, but it all comes down to the individual. So it depends on how much more you're willing to do. And the thing is, once you get the crowd involved, once you get a group of people, think about the number of ideas you'll generate and the number of initiatives that you can come up with. So as opposed to just having, one person tell you how you should do it or how you need to be more sustainable, it's nicer if the community gets together and then they talk about the issues, what their challenges are, and then they come up with solutions that they think that's going to fit everybody.
Exactly. Well, the one thing I noticed every time I bring up the question, do you think more could be done? And the most common and the most common normal answer that I get is, yes, a lot more could be done, but we don't have the resources to do it. Do you think the same applies here?
No, I think a lot more can be done, and you don't need a lot of resources to actually carry this out. I mean, for us consumers in the urban centers, we need to start asking the right questions. When you go out to buy fish, we're like, where does this fish come from? How was it caught? Was it caught through sustainable ways, or was it caught through unsustainable means? Was this fish stolen from a golingoli, or was it caught from a fisherman by a fisherman that has the right license to fish in that golingoli? And so these are the kind of questions we need to start asking, and we need to change our attitudes as consumers here in urban centers, and at the same time we need to work with companies that actually extract resources from those communities, because their very existence, their profits that they make depends on the sustainability of those resources. So they need to look at changing the way they operate into sustainable ways, and then at the same time trying to contribute towards a little bit of their profit towards the financing of these community development projects and conservation projects. In that way, they are not only helping the community, but they are also protecting their very own reason why they are the company is there in the first place.
Exactly. Thanks, Alfred. We'll come back to you. But yes, we'll have, if you have questions for our guests, like we said, feel free to call us up 3220-906 or 907 or text us on 825. Another break yet to go, and we still got our final segment still to come, so stay with us. Welcome back to our final segment of Speak Your Mind. Now, Earth Hour, 29th of March, yet again, it's not only about the hour, it's also about going beyond the hour. And one of that is us taking the initiative to do our little bit if we can and when we can. Now, in studio with us, we've got Patricia Malama, Communications Manager, and also Mr. Alfred Ralifo, who is also the Policy Officer at WWF. Now, Alfred, you did mention something about the government policy that has been put in place in accordance to the environment. Tell us a little bit more about this.
So Fiji is a party to the United Nations Convention on Climate Change. And under this convention, we are required to look at issues with regards to climate change. And so as a result of this, Fiji has developed the National Framework for Climate Change.
Right.
And the focal point for this convention is with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Climate Change Unit, and the WWF being a party to that, we are required to actually implement activities related to the climate change framework. So the Earth Hour Blue program is actually going to be implementing on on what we have signed and agreed to under the UNFCCC. So things like building community adaptation, which is what Earth Hour is going to be about, raising awareness.
Right.
As well as climate change mitigation in terms of our carbon footprints. These are all will be implemented during Earth Hour, and there is our contribution towards UNFCCC and the Fiji National Climate Change Framework.
Nice. And so far, we're on the road to that?
Yes. So it's actually tied something that is it's an activity that is tied in well with the government policies and processes that are already in place.
That's so good. Now, for the the crowdfunding, is it only for Earth Hour, during Earth Hour, or are you guys, or is this going to be an ongoing thing? Should they need to contribute for other projects that you have in line?
Well, the idea of Earth Hour Blue and using the crowd to fund projects is just the beginning. We anticipate that, running a small project like this will inspire people in their own communities to identify what their needs are and to go ahead and do things like that. So, you don't need to officially work for WWF to think about a conservation project. If you need advice or assistance, just, get onto earthhour.org. There's a whole lot of people that are willing to help. We have professionals and scientists such as Alfred who can help advise communities who want to take on their own crowdfunding project, not just now for Earth Hour, but for the rest of the year.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit more. I know you did mention, like, if you're having something else at home for Earth Hour, or for the night of Earth Hour. Now, for the candlelight dinner, what are the details on this? I mean, I know a lot of people might be interested in coming together for that dinner. So give us a little bit more about the details.
Okay, so the Earth Hour candlelight dinner is something that we're targeting the private sector with, because they seem to have a bigger footprint than most residential homeowners. So we're approaching a lot of the private sector, the corporate partners that we work with, to purchase tickets for the dinner and bring employees or any group of friends that are willing to come along and support the dinner. The tickets are $25 a person, and it's a sit-down dinner at the Civic Center, the Suva Lower Auditorium, from 7 p.m. on the 29th. However, if you're unable to make it, like I mentioned, you can always, organize your own dinner or organize your own kava session and celebrate by watching Hong Kong Sevens. But, whatever it is, try and raise a little bit of funds and then deposit it into our bank account. Can I give you the number now?
Go for it.
Okay, so it's an ANZ bank account number. It's 1252378. And if you could just mention in the narration that it's for Earth Hour Blue. And even if it's $5 or $10 or, even if you want to help us with $10,000, you're more than welcome to do so. But just so you know that whatever you contribute is going directly into the purchasing, the installation, and the training for the use of solar-powered equipment to generate electricity in the 4 communities in the Mali district.
Okay. Now, do they need to register though if they are planning to have?
Well, if you are, we would encourage you to do so, because the more people we have from Fiji or the Pacific, the better it is, so that the global organizers know that, yes, we are serious about addressing climate change and we're willing to make a difference as well. So head on to earthhour.org, register yourself as an individual, as a business, or as a community group, and then share your pictures. Don't just do something. You got to talk about it so that people know that you're trying to make a difference as well.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to ask both of you, what do you do for your efforts of going beyond the hour? Like, is it just only on the night? Or what do you do personally as your contribution to conserving or protecting the environment? Alfred, I'll start with you.
I have my own backyard garden.
Oh, nice.
So I try to make an effort that every weekend I'll actually tend to my garden. I also try to create things at home out of recycled materials, so that I don't have to purchase them. I don't watch TV. Very rarely that I do watch TV, and also I try to plant as many pot plants I can in the house.
Nice.
And those are some of the things. And I don't own a car. I've one of the reasons why I don't actually take a driving license to get a license is
you just refuse
I prefer to take public transport instead.
Oh, okay. And the 2-wheel drive.
Yes. And walking.
No, but I have to say it's actually kept you very fit and looking very young. Maybe that's probably your secret.
Yes.
And Patricia, what is yours?
Well, I've been on this sustainability journey for quite a while now. So about 4 years ago, I became a vegetarian. So I refused to eat any form of meat.
I tried that for about a week. And then it was supposed to be for a whole month, but I'm just hopeless that way. Okay.
Yeah,
so
and then last year, one of my resolutions was that this year I want to become a raw vegan, meaning I don't want to consume anything that's been cooked.
That's right.
So just, having raw fruits, vegetables, and nuts. And also things like no processed food, because there's a lot of energy that's required to create that sort of food.
Even if it's Fijian made?
Well, the good thing is with a lot of local food, where it's come from, and how it's been prepared, and usually there's not a lot of energy required. So eating local food is okay. And I also do not consume any sugars or any carbonated drinks because of the amount of water sugar that's used. Yeah. And, I try and walk as much as possible. But, if someone's going to offer me a ride on a hot day, I'm not going to say no.
Okay, nice. Now, when you have, do you do at WWF the stuff yourself? Like, do you guys get together and do like little conservation projects?
Yes, of course. We actually have a green office policy. So, if you ever get the chance to, you should come around our office and you see we've got a whole lot of different policies, such as the air conditioning needs to be set at a certain temperature, and you can only turn it on if it's a certain temperature outside.
Okay.
So otherwise, windows open, fan turned on. And we've also got lots of really nice trees, and we encourage our staff to always, make use of that. We also have a garden, a garden in the office where we plant all these greens and vegetables with the help of the National Food and Nutrition Center, and staff purchase it, and whatever money we raise goes towards maintaining the garden. We also do waste separation, composting, and separating paper from other sorts of rubbish. So we have quite a few interesting things happening at the office.
I think we should get in touch with. We should have our team come and visit Chiging's office. Maybe we'll probably be conserving more energy too. Not that we're using a lot though. But yes, well, that wraps up our program for today. Thank you so much, Patricia, and also thank you, Alfred, for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Before we wrap up, any last words from you?
Yes. Get in touch with us, or go to earthhour.org and make sure you participate in Earth Hour. It doesn't take a lot, but it's going to help you do your bit for the planet, and you'll also see some economic returns.
Alfred?
Yeah, small changes in your lifestyles, a small actions that you take is going to add a lot and contribute a lot more towards sustainable Earth.
All right. Well, there you have it, and that wraps up our program for today. Sure hope you enjoyed that. Until next week, you have a pleasant day.